Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Hrish Lotlikar. I'm co-founder and CEO of SuperWorld. Today, I'm going to talk about SuperWorld, how we're building a virtual world that helps build a better world. I'll go into, as a starter, my background, go into kind of the story into how we started SuperWorld and what SuperWorld is all about and what our high-level vision is, and what really is the essence of Superworld. And then I'll go and touch in all the ways that we're leveraging these technologies to improve the world. So first of all, let me go into my background. I started off in consulting, investment banking on Wall Street. I was in venture capital in New York. Started a couple of venture capital funds in Europe. Started one in Ukraine called East Labs. We're invested in across early stage tech companies. And I'm on the board of Tech Minsk in Minsk, Belarus, which is backed by the US State Department and Google. And then after that was an early team member at a company called TopTal, which is a talent marketplace backed by Andreessen Horowitz. And then about 5 years ago, started Rogue Initiative Studios, which is a film, television, gaming, and VR studio in Hollywood. My co-founder had produced Call of Duty, Modern Warfare series, and Ghosts. And my production partner is Michael Bay, who's known for big action movies like Transformers, The Island, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, Bad Boys. And the mission of Rogue Initiative is to create new original content franchises. But long story short, that's how I got into the world of augmented reality and virtual reality. Rogue Initiative is also backed by many of the top venture capital funds in Silicon Valley and globally. So I started off in the AR, VR industry through my experience there and became really passionate about it. And what had happened was a company and a game that the world knows about called Pokemon Go came out. And it took the world by storm, as everyone knows. It became, what a lot of people don't know, but the fastest company in history to hit $1 billion in revenue in history. What was also really interesting is that they've had one of their best years ever this year. So they've been doing extremely well. And back then we thought to ourselves, you know what, if we can't build the next Pokemon Go, what if we could build a world? What if we could build a place where the next 1,000 Pokemon Goes can get built onto it? And that was kind of the high level vision for Superworld, is how do we empower anyone to build a virtual world that they're excited about and that they can do anything anywhere and discover anything anywhere and monetize anything anywhere. And so that was kind of the high level vision of kind of what we wanted to do with Superworld. So the first part of that high level vision I would characterize as Pokemon Go, as I said, which is adding digital information on top of the real world. The second part of our vision at Superworld is Foursquare, and that's a vision for data. And on the data side of this, since there's an infinite number of virtual worlds that can exist in Superworld, right? I have a world, you have a world, brands have worlds. These are all just filters on top of the real world. And if there's an infinite number of those filters, there's lots of data. And so on the Foursquare part of our analogy, that analogy is all about how can we provide monetization for users from their data? How can we provide data integrity, data sovereignty? And as many people know, there is this social dilemma. There was actually a really great documentary that I often mention that everyone should watch. It's on Netflix. And The Social Dilemma is a documentary about how we're all kind of living in these bubbles, algorithmic bubbles, where we kind of see information that we want to see and really kind of sometimes can be programmed by algorithms. And what we want to do at Superworld is to enable users to have very permissioned use of data, to also to benefit from the data that's being monetized. So first of all, on SuperWorld, part of our vision is that when you use SuperWorld, you earn crypto. And so it benefits humanity when they use SuperWorld. People can, instead of play to earn, I call it live to earn. So when you live in SuperWorld, you actually can earn crypto. And the second part of that is, how can we utilize user data to benefit the real world? How can we benefit humanity by measuring user activity in SuperWorld and enabling people to take actions in a virtual world that benefit the real world? That's the idea. How do we incentivize and gamify different activities that are actually beneficial? And we'll talk about those specifics, but I'll go into the third part of the analogy, which is monopoly. So the monopoly analogy is, we've divided the surface of the earth into 64 billion virtual blocks of digital land. Each block covers about a city block, 100 meters by 100 meters. So any part of the world can be purchased in SuperWorld, anywhere, literally. We've divided up the world, as I said, in 64.8 billion blocks. And if you own one of those blocks, if you buy one of those blocks, you're buying an NFT, in this case on the Ethereum blockchain. Ultimately, we're blockchain agnostic, so we'll be interoperable across blockchains, but currently we're structured as an ERC 721 token in terms of our virtual land. And if you buy a block of virtual land, you get a share of any of the commerce that happens on that land: advertising, e-commerce, digital commerce, data, analytics, and gaming. And so ultimately, as an owner of a block of land, you become a key stakeholder on the platform. And then on top of that, we're building applications. So we have a mobile application that's in open beta right now, but that allows you to create, discover, and monetize content anywhere. So you can put content anywhere in the world. You can access that content from anywhere in the world on the desktop or mobile, and you can monetize that content anywhere. We've just launched an NFT marketplace that allows you to create NFTs out of any piece of content anywhere. And again, this fall, we're tokenizing, and we'll be integrating DeFi and other mechanisms into the world. So I think now you understand what SuperWorld is. It is a virtual world in augmented reality on top of the real world. And now let me get to, how do we leverage these technologies to improve the real world? So first of all, I'm going to touch on the virtual land. So again, the virtual land covers the surface of the earth, and utilizing virtual land, you can give anyone the opportunity to become a stakeholder in any location. And so as we're moving to the Internet of Places, where around us we're able to access information and context on our surroundings, what if you could own those locations? And what if you could, become a stakeholder by being involved in the economics that exist at those locations? Well, what that enables anyone to do is to be able to not only be able to create content in those locations, or in SuperWorld's case, anywhere, because you don't need to own land to create content. You can create content anywhere. But if there is a certain location in the world that you're interested in, a place maybe that you want to create some social impact, maybe a place that you live in, or the place that you grew up in, or a place that's very close to your heart, you can also own that place in SuperWorld, and you can create projects there that benefit that location, and basically excite the community and help facilitate activations and projects to be created on the land that you own. And again, if you own that location, you're getting a share of any of the commerce that happens there, or any of the economics that happen there. And so you're very incentivized as an owner of virtual land to be able to create opportunities in that location and to get your own community to activate that location. So the virtual land in and of itself has a great number of kind of interesting use cases. And, we're seeing some of those play out. And I'll touch on those a little bit later, but just wanted to, again, start by defining the technologies that we have and how they can be used. Second of all, is augmented reality. So you can use augmented reality to be able to augment your surroundings and to provide contextual information to anyone about the world around us. Augmented reality technology, and to be clear, we're also a virtual reality platform. So we're thought of as XR, extended reality, AR, and VR. So from any location, you can add augmented reality, or you can go totally to a totally virtual reality environment. But the idea is that since we're on top of the real world, we use the word augmented reality because it's all augmenting the real world. And with this technology, you can use information, audio, visual, 3D, literally anything to benefit those in those environments and to provide and augment those environments with location specific information, educational information, entertainment type information. Literally anything is possible. And the way that works is that if you want to highlight certain causes that are geographic in nature, or just basically enable someone to have a very compelling exposure to a certain either experience or piece of entertainment or piece of educational information and knowledge, and you want them to experience it in AR and VR with sight and sound, again, in haptics as a possibility in the future. You basically can utilize augmented reality technology to enable anyone to really understand what you're talking about, and a lot of times the difference between getting someone interested in your project or in your cause is oftentimes because someone doesn't completely understand it. And so AR technology is very powerful. We oftentimes call the empathy machine for virtual reality or augmented reality type technologies, because you can really get into someone's shoes and understand what they're thinking and feeling and seeing and hearing, because they're really able to get that immersive experience. The third technology, which is really apropos to this conference, is using blockchain technology to provide ways for users to create NFTs and enable them to be able to create programmable digital assets that they can monetize, utilizing NFTs to enable ways that we can bring resources to efforts around the world that anyone wants to support and bring to the forefront. So again, NFTs are very powerful technology because they give us all the ability to become stakeholders, to create digital assets that are programmable, and to bring in other parties as well into those assets, and really, create immutable, transparent, transferable assets that have integrity to them. And that's very powerful. I would say as kind of the top 3 points as ways that NFTs can be useful is, again, they provide and empower creators and buyers to have a direct participation in projects. So creators can utilize NFTs to create projects and experiences that they can, again, always benefit from, and they can always know that those projects are directing capital and resources to wallets that they've ordained to receive the benefits from the sale of their NFTs. Buyers also have a very transparent understanding of who's getting paid and what they're buying. And so again, that's a very important aspect of NFTs. Number two, as an example, we've also are enabling corporations to engage with their customers with music, art, educational content, you name it, as a way to demonstrate that the corporation has a very strong interest in the social cause, as well as bringing in art and other types of content into the social cause and bringing artists involved as well to make that social NFT a lot more culturally relevant. So, and again, it adds that kind of broad mass appeal to whatever they're trying to accomplish. And so again, NFT technology is very pivotal there because it allows corporations to get involved, bring in other cultural types of activations into their work, and be able to market to their customers directly in a way that really appeals to them. Number three, again, the NFT and blockchain technologies that are used are really making all of these philanthropic contributions totally transparent. And the benefits of what's happening are able to be fully tracked. And so that's very useful because a lot of times, corporations and entities that are doing things that they are pursuing in a way to commercially, be able to continue their main source of revenue, but also want to do things that benefit the world. But a lot of that stuff is often lost. And people aren't able to completely understand what the ROI is in terms of the social impact work as well. And it's hard for a corporation oftentimes that wants to help to be able to track those things. And I think the transparency that NFTs really bring to this work is very important because it provides them a kind of a closed loop so their shareholders can understand the impact that they're making. Their customers can understand the impact that's being contributed by the companies and the entities that are involved. And the not-for-profit or the social cause that's benefiting can also be able to track where everything is going and coming from. And so that transparency is really a hallmark of NFT and blockchain technology. And I think it's something that's very powerful. The next thing is DeFi mechanisms. So DeFi is really enabling us to utilize finance mechanisms to enable a lot of the large, wide-scale projects that are really needed to help solve global problems. We're able to bring in financing into those projects and to help leverage resources towards massive efforts. As an example, one of our partners is interested in building, houses for millions and millions of people that can't afford places to live. And we're working on a project that enables our partner to build NFT virtual homes that then can be marketed as NFTs and utilize DeFi to bring in capital to finance the creation of the physical homes. We're also doing some things with the rebuilding of Beirut that I'll mention as well. And I think DeFi could be a really great mechanism here to bring in that financing. Finally, governance is a big benefit of utilizing blockchain technologies and tokens. We can bring in the community at SuperWorld to help decide what projects we want to tackle, how we want to build a better world, how we want to move towards our vision. And so the governance aspects of tokenization really enable that. Some examples of projects that we're working on, just to give you a sense in the real world of what we're doing at SuperWorld, but also just what can be possible here utilizing blockchain and NFTs and AR and all of these other technologies. About a month ago, we're working in Flint, Michigan for the cleanup of the Flint water crisis. So we utilize our art and virtual land there to help raise capital for Flint, Michigan and the Flint water crisis. A few weeks ago, we partnered with disaster fighters and the World Bank in the Caribbean to basically reduce the impact of hurricane season in the Caribbean. And every country in the Caribbean created an NFT that was dedicated to their efforts against, hurricane season and disaster recovery, and those NFTs were sold in our NFT marketplace on top of the actual locations around the world for the countries that had created those NFTs. We're working this last couple of weeks with Haiti for the earthquake that happened with Haiti, with disaster fighters and the World Bank. Later this summer, we're working with Monogramma and a digital artist who's very well known named Patrick Amadon, and the Suri and Cinta Larga tribes in the Amazon to help with reforestation efforts there. So that's going to be very exciting. And finally, just as another example, next week I'm going to be in Venice speaking on behalf of SuperWorld in partnership with UNESCO for the rebuilding of Beirut, where we're going to be speaking with architects who are going to be, helping to create NFTs and digital structures for the rebuilding of Beirut, Lebanon, and bringing more resources and education and highlighting what's going on in that area to help with those efforts. So again, just as an example, those are some ideas of things that we're doing. But the idea is that anyone can get involved, and these technologies are very powerful. AR, VR, blockchain, virtual land, AI, DeFi, tokenization, governance, all of these things that really come together to really enable anyone to really get involved and make a difference in the world. So again, SuperWorld has a very core mission to allow anyone to create, discover, and monetize anything, anywhere. But really, our goal was, how can we leverage all these technologies and leverage all that user activity to also benefit the real world? And so I welcome anyone listening and who's passionate about what we're building to get in touch with us. I'd love to have you involved in our mission at SuperWorld to build a better world. Thank you again for the opportunity for being here and to be able to share our mission with you. I look forward to working with all of you, and I'm excited for the future. Thank you again. Bye.